So if you already couldn't tell, I recently bought a new piece of gear that I am extremely excited about. I thought it was about time for me to get my own cinema lens. I thought it was about that time to move on from all the stills lens that I have and get myself a nice cine lens. And that, my friends, is exactly what I did. So that short you watched, minus the very last shot, because obviously I had to get a shot of this lens, was shot with this Suri 24mm T1.2 cine lens. I can't speak enough about how excited I was to get this in the mail and finally get a chance to shoot something with it. And I came up with that short little idea that you saw a little bit ago, just to introduce this lens and film in a style that I actually like to, create. So I did only purchase the one singular lens because it was like $330 roughly after taxes and whatnot, but I got the 24mm because on my Sony a6400 that equates to about a 35mm equivalent on full frame, which is a very universal and utilitarian focal length to use, especially for cinematic shots. So I went with a 24mm. I think they have 16mm, 24, 35, 50 something, and a 75 I believe now, but this seemed like the good first lens for me to get before jumping into all the other ones or like buying a full set, which is a lot more expensive, but in retrospective cinema lenses actually pretty budget friendly. I barely had the budget for just getting one of these at the moment, and it took a lot of talking to the ball and chain to let me spend the money to get this. But nevertheless, I did, and it's here, and I've used it a little bit. I've only used it for about a day now since recording this, and that's what it took for me to shoot the short you saw earlier. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about this lens and my thoughts about it so far. So first of all, getting into the lens and its features, it is completely manual. All cinema lenses are completely manual because they're meant to be used with a team, with a crew of people, someone dedicated to focus, someone dedicated to every individual aspect. And I'm doing this as a one-man show, so there's a little bit more work involved getting my shots with this lens, but once you do and you put in the work for it, they turn out amazing. The rings on this lens are actually really nice. They're pretty smooth and they're declicked, which is really nice for video. It's not the same as a still camera lens where you want some clickage maybe, so that you can get consistency. This is very different for shooting video, and it takes a little bit of getting used to. Maybe they're a little too slidey for some people's taste, but I actually really like the smoothness that these have. And if I need to pull focus or rack focus in any way on a subject, it makes it really easy to do so. The build quality of this thing is really, really amazing. I mean, I was not super surprised, but also surprised when I pulled this thing out and felt how hefty and heavy it was compared to my Viltrox 24mm still lens. This is a beefy lens. So if you compare the two, right? This is the Viltrox 24mm, well, 23mm f1.4 still lens, and then this is the Suri 24mm T1.2 cinema lens. So you can see, in terms of the size, the Suri is quite a bit chunkier and a little bit longer. So, it's a different thing, and it's a whole crap ton heavier than the other lens. But the Viltrox 23mm is the lens that took the last shot of the short you saw at the beginning of this video to showcase this in all of its glory, because it was such a similar focal length that I wanted to keep the same vibe throughout the entire short film, whatever you want to call it. I really, really enjoy the image that this produces. Like, it's very filmic. It really inspires me to do a lot more work with it, and obviously since it's manual, there's a lot of different things that you can do with it, but just the character that this has, which does involve some maybe not so preferable things to people who want a super sterile lens, because there's some chromatic aberration with this lens at the full open T1.2. As you kind of increase that down to like T2, T2.8 and stuff like that, the chromatic aberration definitely dissipates quite a lot, but it is there because it is a cheaper and more budget lens. Some people don't really like the chromatic aberration, and you can correct that in post with certain things. I honestly don't really get bothered by it too much. I honestly think it adds a bit of character and a cool look to things, and maybe that's just me and the fact that I can accept having budget equipment, but it doesn't really bother me, but just know that it is there. This lens does have a bigger filter thread on the front of the lens than what all of my other lenses use. Most of my Viltrox and other lenses that I have are a 52mm thread size, so like my Pro Mist filters and my smoke filters all are 52mm. This is a 67, so I had to get a step down ring, which scared me at first, but and this was like $8 or something on Amazon. I didn't want any vignetting, but luckily with this step down ring from 67mm to 52mm, there is no vignetting whatsoever, so I can still use the Pro Mist filters and smoke filters that I already own with this lens, and honestly with the whole entire line of these lenses, with hopefully not any vignetting. Maybe once the focal lengths increase to like the higher 50 and the 75mm lens that they have in this series, it might get a little bit of vignetting. I'm not sure. I would have to check out those other lenses with the step down ring, but now it's one of those things where I got to choose between, do I want to continue to buy 52mm thread for filters, because that's most of what my lenses are, or do I start jumping to 67? They're more costly for that, but they fit the Cine lens. And am I going to buy more Cine lenses in this line with the Nightwalkers that have the 67mm? That's the question that I have to debate further down the road. I think this lens was a really great purchase for myself, and although I've only had it for less than 24 hours as of filming this, I'm extremely satisfied with the use that I've gotten out of it so far and the image that it produces. I am so elated to use this, and you're going to be seeing a lot more content created with this thing, and it makes me extremely excited to film more things. And I'm extremely protective of this thing because I feel like it's a very, very high-end lens on a budget, but like I don't want to break it or drop it or anything. My other lenses, I can drop them, whatever. This I want to keep safe. This is my baby. This is going to be my workhorse now for most of my cinematic shots, and I'll probably invest in some of the other focal lengths in the Nightwalker series. I was skeptical of whether or not I was going to like this lens or not because I already have a 35mm equivalent lens with the Viltrox 23mm, but this to me does have a very different quality to it that I enjoy a lot more than the Viltrox. And I don't know what it is. It's just kind of the look of it. It does seem more cinematic, and maybe that's just a placebo. I'm not sure, but it makes me extremely happy to use. Now, the only issue that I've run into that's kind of is just the focusing. And so focusing is actually really, really easy with this lens when you're shooting things other than yourself. So when you're shooting yourself and you have to run a manual lens like this, trying to get that focus can be a little bit difficult sometimes. So you either got to go the route of putting like a tennis ball on a stand, or what I do is I use a light or something on a light stand and put it where I'm going to stand and then focus to the light. That way I know I'll be in focus when I stand there. You can use tape measures to measure out the specific focal distance and stuff like that, but it's a lot more work to get a shot of yourself when you're using a completely manual focus lens. But that's really not that bad in the grand scheme of all things, because that's what this thing is meant for, is the utmost control that you can possibly get for your entire image and all the aspects of what this lens can produce. I, for one, am extremely happy with this purchase. And again, like I said, I'm going to be using this on a lot of stuff from now on, and hopefully I can maybe get some more client work doing this and producing some really good cinematic looking footage. Not that you can't get cinematic footage with still photo lenses, because that's all I've been using up until buying this lens have been still photo lenses, and I've been able to get some pretty cinematic shots out of those. But this just seems a lot more legit. And come on, when clients see you with this fat lens, they're gonna go, oh, this guy means business. I would absolutely love to be able to check out and own some of the other focal lengths in this Nightwalker series. So Siri, if you're listening, I would love to check out those other focal lengths and have a full kit of these cinema lenses, because holy crap, I'm extremely happy with this already less than 24 hours into owning it. And just note that I have owned it for less than a day, so I am bound to find more things that I love and more things that I don't like about this lens as I go on using it more and more. But would I recommend you checking out this lens? So far, yes, hell yes, do it. Why not? Especially if you get it on Amazon or something. If you don't like it, you can always return it, right? So maybe you can get it and test it out, and if you don't like it, then you send it back. But if you do, then you got an awesome lens for life, hopefully, if you don't ever break it. But I would definitely recommend this lens, especially if you're an APS-C shooter, because that's specifically what these Nightwalker lenses are kind of tailored for, and you're looking to get a cinema lens on a budget, kind of trying to upgrade your gear and up your game. I would full heart recommend this lens. I am extremely happy with it so far. So if you want to pick up this lens for yourself, I will leave an affiliate link down in the description below. I do make a bit of kickback on that if you do purchase through my link. All that does is go to help support the channel and cost you nothing extra. So Sirui 24mm T1.2 Nightwalker Cine lens. I fully approve of this thing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.